Excellencies, ministers, honoured officials from the multilateral agencies, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this, the third session of the Global Small Island Developing States Leaders, also known as SIDS. My name is Juliet Foster, and over the next 90 minutes, I shall be guiding you through what I believe will be a lively and thought-provoking debate on SIDS and technologies of communication and information. The organisers of GSL are grateful for the very kind sponsorship of Bayer in supporting these debates at transnational level. So thank you so much for your support. Let's now focus on the topic in hand. It's fair to say that the growth of technology has been nothing short of extraordinary, and that staggering rate of advance is showing few signs of slowing down. If you want to know just how staggering it is, then I'm about to dazzle you with some figures. By 2025, some 38.6 billion smart devices around the world will be collecting, analysing and sharing data. The web hosting services market is poised to generate over $77 billion. And currently, 4.66 billion of us around the world are internet users, although I suspect that figure has gone up since I first wrote it down. So what does that mean for small island states? Well, these states are among the beneficiaries of what futurologists have dubbed the fourth industrial revolution. Information communication technology is expected to mitigate some of the challenges that SIDS typically face because of their geographical remoteness, especially by facilitating access to product and service suppliers. The bottom line is that ICD is the foundation enabling SIDS to diversify their economies, boost their manufacturing output, obtain greater access to global supply and value chains, and improve their disaster preparedness, points that were highlighted in the 2014 Samoa SIDS Pathway UN report. Well, 7 years on from that historic publication, SIDS are continuing to make big, important strides in terms of the affordability and universality of their ICT networks. Mobile broadband coverage across the SIDS now covers 85% of the population, while the price of 500 megabits of mobile data has dropped from 15% of gross national income per capita to 8%. At the same time, the percentage of individuals living and working on these islands using the internet has risen to 56% between 2014 and 2018. So this is essentially a good news story, except the progress does conceal many challenges for small islands. Research points to ICT skills shortages, making it difficult to derive benefits from increasing upstream technology. There's also the issue of take-up. In the small island of Cabo Verde, just off the African continent, for example, around half of the population not using the internet said the most important reason why they didn't take it up was because they didn't know how to use it. Not to be forgotten in this debate is the continuing gender challenge in digital employment in some SIDS. In other words, how can we do more to back up the development of women in technology and digital entrepreneurship? So if you could, panel, I would like you to hold those thoughts because we are going to explore each of them with the help of our distinguished panel, of course, who've been drawn from the small islands themselves and, of course, experts from the UN family of organisations. They will each give a 5-minute speech outlining their position. And can I stress it has to be 5 minutes as we do have quite a lot of ground to cover in the time that we are together. And after those 5-minute presentations, I will ask each of you a question, and there will be more general questions towards the end of the session. I would like to invite to the floor His Excellency Jean-Paul Carteron, who is Ambassador of the Solomon Islands to UNESCO and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. Ambassador Carteron is the co-founder of the GSL initiative with his colleague, Ambassador David Doyle. Donc, Monsieur Ambassadeur Carteron, bienvenue à cet environnement et la parole est maintenant à vous.
Thank you, Juliette. Thank you to David. Thanks to him, we started with this GSL initiative and it is expanding now month after month. We have two main partners who are Seychelles, with the support of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Radegonde of Seychelles. We have also Dominican Republic, with the support of Mario Arvelo, who is the ambassador of Dominican Republic to FAO. And we are expecting in the next week to come a number of other delegations, other governments joining us in order to implement this new concept of transversal diplomacy that we wish for the future in order to address concretely the main issues related to small islands. I would like to thank Bayer. Bayer, we saw a beautiful movie of presentation. Bayer is supporting us, and I welcome Natasha Santos. Natasha is a brilliant and respected woman, highly qualified, and her activity at Bayer Crop Science Division as Vice President and Head of Stakeholder Strategy and Affairs is key for addressing issues of agriculture, food, and food security. She will speak about a very special issue, which is digital tools which are transforming agriculture and improving the life of millions of persons, improving or being in position of improving if we develop them. We will have also, and I would like just to say in a few words who are our guests. I thank all of them for accepting to participate in this debate. Angel Miguel Moratinos. Moratinos is the United Nations Under Secretary General, holding the post of High Representative for the United Nations Alliance of Civilization. If you did not have the opportunity to verify the activities of the United Nations Alliance of Civilization, I would suggest that you inform yourself, because it's a very, very key and important initiative of United Nations. He was Spanish Minister of Foreign Affairs and very respected EU Special Representative for the Middle East peace process. He worked a lot in the Middle East, and it would be useless to introduce Mr. Moratinos. Mr. Courtenay-Rattray is the United Nations High Representative for the least developed countries, landlocked developing countries, and small island developing states. Thank you, Mr. Rattray. You are the person in charge of all these issues in New York. And I know that when you were ambassador of Jamaica to United Nations, you already served as co-chair of the group of friends of the Sustainable Development Goals financing. Peter Kenny-Laurea, co-president of the ACP-EU Joint Parliamentary Assembly. Mr. Kenny-Laurea is MP in Solomon Islands. He is actually, for him, it is midnight. Thank you to be with us. It's late. You served as an international civil servant in the United Nations Secretariat in New York, and as permanent secretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Honiara. Altai Cengizer, with a recording contribution because at the last moment he could not make it, is president of the General Conference of UNESCO, actually, and he will chair this conference in a few weeks when we open it. Malcolm Johnson, ITU Deputy Secretary General, replacing Gulin Zhao, the Secretary General. Mr. Johnson is one of the most respected ICT experts in the world, and his role as ITU is now key as far as so many post-COVID issues have to be addressed. Thank you, Mr. Johnson, also to be with us. Nikhil Seth, I will say that we are close friends. Nikhil Seth is the Executive Director of the United Nations Institute for Training and Research. He has 30 years of service as an international and national civil servant and a wealth of experience in leading, supporting, and managing complex portfolios, intergovernmental process, including United Nations conferences in the economic, social, and environment fields. He served as the head of the Office of the Secretary General of the United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development, and I like that Nikhil is with us today because so many issues are related to his competence and his experience, and we wait for him to share it with us. And finally, I would like to thank Juliette, because Juliette has been accompanying us during the first sessions, now with these ICT sessions. And be sure, Juliette, that we appreciate your dedication, your time, your energy, your competence. And now I give you the floor back. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Monsieur Ambassador. Je vous remercie. That's the last of my French. In fact, I'm not going to inflict more of it on you, but thank you so much for that wonderful address. Now, our next speaker is Altay Cengizer, who is the ambassador of the Republic of Turkey and also president of the General Conference of UNESCO. He is a long-standing Turkish career diplomat who's previously served as the ambassador to Tajikistan and the Republic of Ireland. Now, unfortunately, Ambassador Cengizer is unable to join us, but he did send us this message, which offers some views on the broader political challenge facing small island developing states. Here is his message.
Esteemed High Representatives, esteemed Presidents, distinguished guests, it is my pleasure to be able to speak to you today, and I would like to commend Ambassadors Corcoran and Doyle for taking this timely initiative. I hope we will never arrive to the point where we see whole nations on small islands leaving their countries. But on the other hand, there is a high probability that we might. And this is the essence of this conference. Some years ago, we started to see salt water intruding below the farming areas. This was the first sign indicating that things were going from bad to worse, and this was more than a whisper. Warming climate was altering ocean currents, and even after some 20 years, nobody wants to take care of what is going on in faraway islands out at sea. Hence the growing need for viable strategies of resilience. When COVID-19 struck, the SIDS, which are dependent on tourism, were hit much harder than many. Indeed, the SIDS are acutely vulnerable to such modern ravages. Furthermore, many among the SIDS have also experienced sharp drops in international remittances. This was on top of their already very high shipping costs and other associated problems. It's apparent that the SIDS are exposed to extraordinary environmental vulnerabilities, hence the special risks they face. And in a small island nation, disasters hit every individual. As the international community, our pledge is to leave no one behind. For this to happen, we need to pursue resolute and determined action. In practical terms, it is time that richer nations start putting more capital into the multilateral development banks. Likewise, it is the time that richer nations tax their fossil fuel industries to help cover the rising global costs that their fuel production causes. If we really believe that as humanity our fates are intertwined, then it's time to really mean it. Thank you again for this opportunity, and I present my very best regards to each and every one of you.
And a big thank you there to Ambassador Altay Cengizer for that message. Everybody here, thank you so much for your participation, and also to those of our panel who had to leave us because they had to attend various meetings, etc. But the contributions were most welcome, and there are grounds for optimism. There is a willingness for people to partner up, to work together, to bridge those gaps, because we've explored the importance of technology to SID states, the differences that they can make, and there's been no running away from the intricacies of the issues that are involved. They are very, very forensic, but there is no fear in taking these on and winning, because at the end of the day, the SID states, they have skin in the game, to take that phrase from you, Ambassador Corcoran. But there we must leave it. Thank you so much, and good luck going forward, and I hope to meet you again in the not too distant future. Thank you.